Hi, and welcome to episode 2 of Vision 2030, part of the 2020 CanForum. We've all heard the saying, knowledge is power, and that most certainly extends to cancer treatments. The more data we have, the more we can learn. It's really that simple. Or is it? Humans can only process so much data by themselves, but machines, on the other hand, are data munchers. In this episode, you'll hear how artificial intelligence, after sifting through mountains of data, can predict better than humans what types of cancers will respond to what therapies. But before the munching can begin, big data has to be collected, collated and stored. And that's going to require big changes to our way of doing things.
In 2018, Hazel Harding's youngest son was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. He was 13. His chemo treatment lasted 2.5 years, and Hazel has kept every outpatient green slip.
I'm not really sure why I kept these, but there's over 50 green slips here. And those 50 green slips represent every time I had to, we had to experience our son receiving these toxic treatments.
He's in remission now, but the treatment regime was brutal.
It's exhaustion, it's fatigue, aches and pains, nausea, ulcers through his digestive tract. We were admitted to hospital for that. And then maintenance happens and it still comes with a lot of baggage in terms of the impact it has on your life. And I think that's probably the point it dawns on you that...
Worse still, parts of that ordeal will always be with him.
You know, we can put the man on the moon, and yet we don't have drugs to treat childhood cancer that don't leave the majority of these children with some long-term serious effects, side effects, late effects. That's completely unacceptable.
Hazel co-founded Australian Families for Genomics, which is calling for a universal databank, a place where young cancer patients can donate their personal and genomic data in the hope of finding better treatments.
Make it available so that researchers around the world actually have a population-based repository, if you like, of genomes from children and from every child and young person with cancer. If you really broaden your mindset about it, then the new discoveries are infinite, and hopefully we'll open up, identify new drugs and new therapies.
Hi, I'm Andrew Spencer.
In 2012, Professor Spencer created a registry of patients with the blood cancer multiple myeloma in Australia and New Zealand. Today, with data from 4,000 patients from 50 sites, it's the second biggest multiple myeloma registry in the world.
We're getting a very rich picture of what the disease is like. So not only how it presents, but the variation in treatments and outcomes outside of clinical trials. And so the data gives us a far more accurate picture of what's happening with the disease.
Accurate enough, says Professor Spencer, to significantly improve and even extend lives.
Collection of the data enables benchmarking between different institutions and health services, and this data therefore enables clinicians and health services to look at their practice and how they stack up against the rest of the country. And certainly we've been able to share data, which we do regularly with all the sites, which has then led to changes in practice at those sites.
In addition, the registry allows for cost-effective clinical trials, meaning registry patients can get access to the latest therapies.
And that's an obvious benefit in that these patients are getting these newer, more effective agents which otherwise we would not be able to use. And I think almost certainly that has enhanced longevity and resulted in better disease control.
So I was very honoured to be awarded this Jeannie Ferris Award by Cancer Australia. It's a recognition award for gynecologic cancer research.
Professor Clare Scott also knows the power of cancer registries. Through one, a new class of drugs, PARP inhibitors, was developed that has cured some types of ovarian cancer. Now Clare is using registries to see if other gynecological cancers can be approached the same way.
We're certain that we can find the same threads to follow. Now, it's like literally pulling on a thread, and that is why you need complex data systems, because it's going to take a lot of complex data and across more than just one lab or one country. And this is where it starts to get exciting, this discussion about big data.
So what is big data? There's really no limit to what it could be, but it commonly includes de-identified patient information such as their genetic makeup, their family history, their cancer's unique mutation, their treatment regime, and their responses to treatment. An endless list, as Clare puts it, held in a multitude of separate databases all over Australia and the world. And when collated and analysed, big data holds huge potential.
Fundamentally, it means we can make discoveries so much faster. An example would be that for one of our patients, we could generate a model, we can put that model through our sequencing, and in a matter of a small number of weeks, we can, at the end of that time, discover that one particular patient might have a change in their cancer, which means we can pull a treatment off at the shelf, literally, and that treatment can change the outlook for that patient. Now, I have to say that unfortunately, that is often in the minority, but for those patients where it's a game changer for them, it's just life-changing. Now, the reason it is more important even just than for those patients is that it proves what can be done, and it makes us go out and work harder to change the lives of other patients as well.
Google, what's cancer?
The only thing big enough to interpret big data is artificial intelligence and machine learning. AI is all around us. It's any software that's programmed to help humans make decisions. Machine learning is what happens when AI itself learns from the decisions it's helping to make.
You might call it a robot scientist, but essentially connecting lots of data with all that we know about disease and biology. My name is Enrico Cuera. I'm a professor of medical informatics at Macquarie University. AI, for example, is being used from everything from detecting thyroid cancer on ultrasounds to looking at images on a colonoscopy and saying whether or not that's a bowel cancer. AI is used in helping us determine what sort of treatment is going to be best for you. Algorithms are very helpful in predicting whether you're going to live for a certain period or what sort of experience you might expect. And AI is also really, and I think this is one of the most exciting bits, is helping us do the science behind cancer. So in other words, understanding if this is a new cancer or it's a rare cancer, how do I manage it? What treatments could I bring to bear, given that we don't know too much about it?
Of course, the big question is, can AI be trusted?
In those cases where it's been undergone clinical trials, for example, say in cancer diagnosis, it equals or outperforms humans. So we know well-developed AI is something you can trust.
Cameron Bean is using AI to better predict the effectiveness of new cancer treatments in melanoma and small cell lung cancer. His employer, analytics company Max Kelsen, is running the largest whole genome sequencing and machine learning project in Australia, across 7 hospitals in 4 states.
So at the moment, if I talk about 40% efficacy in a therapy, and there's a biomarker that identifies those people, we're missing 60%. So we're being precisely inaccurate 60% of the time. And that is where we really want to see AI machine learning come in and bring that back. So it's more like 80% or greater that you've got an efficacy result on a therapy. So really bringing these darts back to the centre of the board so we've got accurate medicine.
It's at the cutting edge of cancer. using whole genome sequencing and artificial intelligence to read the patterns emerging in the bigger cancer picture.
We really have the opportunity now to really start setting course and charting that course forward to 2030. And if we look about it from a cancer or a AI point of view, it'd be fantastic if we can land in 2030 and we've got standardized way of collecting data from a clinic.
But unfortunately, projects like Cameron's are the exception.
I would say that Australia is not an early adopter of AI compared to what's happening globally. We have fantastic computer scientists, AI experts, great clinicians, but other countries are certainly investing a lot more than we are in AI. And at the moment, we are probably 4 to 5 years behind our global counterparts.
Professor Coiera says it's not too late for Australia to get back in the game.
We have one of the world's very best healthcare systems. We deliver care at global standard or above. We have the best nurses, the best doctors. We have an informed population. We are the place naturally in the world where you could really show how AI transforms care. And I think that's our sweet spot. But to do that, we still are going to need to invest aggressively in making it happen.
For Professor Scott, the answer lies in connecting all the disparate databases and registries that are storing big cancer data. A shared Australian data commons, an idea that hasn't yet been fully explored or funded.
It's very hard to get really novel ideas funded, and let me tell you, this is a really novel idea. So if you've worked really hard on developing a rare cancer data set for your entire career and then you suddenly want to make it go boom and have everyone else add data to it, you would then have a process that's been overseen by very reputable people, so then others can come in and value add to that. The idea is fantastic, but there has not been an appropriate call by any of our government agencies for us to put that forward.
It has the backing of Professor Spencer, even though his registry is working well.
So if there was a readily available data set around many cancers, that would be a tremendous resource, so that there would be certainly economy of scale, and it would integrate a lot of things quite possibly that we can't think of now. It may allow comparisons across different cancers that just don't happen now because, to some degree we're very much siloed in what we do. So there could be opportunities there that we can't even think of now that would emerge if you were to do this in a larger scale fashion.
Hazel Harding, who's calling for an open childhood cancer databank, knows who she thinks should stump up the funding.
And there is an opportunity for governments, research institutions, philanthropy, big tech companies. They all stand to win from genomics. And there's a real opportunity for some really meaningful collaboration. And there's a dividend in this for all of those big institutions and government organisations.
We see a lot of potential for artificial intelligence. It can do things beyond what the human mind is capable of doing.
Amanda Ruth authored Vision 2030, a report that challenges Australia's health system to be ready for AI.
I think we have to contemplate how to integrate AI meaningfully, to really think about where are these technologies going to be used to get their maximum value. And I think that's a big question that not everybody knows right now.
I think we need to make AI a national mission. We need to decide it's something we want to excel at. And I think if we do that, we have the people to get there. But it does require leadership and commitment.
Putting the machines to work, that's integral to our 2030 vision for cancer survival. It will dramatically improve our understanding of what treatments work best for which patients. In the final episode, though, we bring the 2030 cancer vision back to people, to you and I. What does the future hold for patients and their cancer journeys? How can a future Australia take better care of its cancer patients? We'll see you soon.